Hello, this is Peter, and I'm coming to you from Georgia Online Instructors. And today we're going to talk about citizens arrest. And we're going to give you 10 points of what is a citizen's arrest, some definitions, and hopefully by the time of this approximately 15-minute tutorial, you'll determine that it's not worth it in most cases. Okay. All right. So first of all, what is the citizen arrest? Now, obviously, some of you guys know that I'm in the state of Georgia. Here in 2021 in July, Georgia had enacted a law that prohibited a citizen for using force to effect a citizen's arrest. This is after the Ahmaud Arbery case in Brunswick, Georgia. The laws changed. So some of you may be in other states. I'm speaking for the state of Georgia at this point in time, but probably 45 of the 50 states that we have is going to have the same rules that will be across the board. Most citizens cannot make an arrest unless it was a commission of a felony that they observed, not what someone else told them about. All right. So first and foremost, let's talk about if you're a citizen or even a person that's a security officer, for an example. You're not a police officer. You are a citizen in all eyes of the law. Let's talk about what is probable cause. So if you're a citizen, you observe something that is a crime, not a city ordinance, but a crime. And you have what we call probable cause. What is probable cause? Probable cause is a suspicion that a crime has taken place. A suspicion that a crime has taken place. Now, you want to make sure as a citizen that you weigh the odds, and also that you know the law, because one thing that this citizen arrest can do is get you in trouble. All right. It's designed for someone to, if someone sees maybe a forcible felony, that individual can, and there's not enough police around or the police is not there, that they can detain them and use a reasonable amount of force to detain that person. All right. And it doesn't give you a right to beat someone up and things of that nature. It's just there for that purposes. Now, be advised, this is very important. If any person feels that they are no longer free to go, well, technically, folks, if they articulate it very well, you have them under arrest. In reality, if that person feels that they're no longer free to go, this is a free country in all 50 states, including Puerto Rico and Guam and other places. Nobody has a right to detain somebody unless they have probable cause that a crime is taking place. So again, know the laws before you even decide that you want to detain someone. All right, because if you don't, it's going to come to a thing called false imprisonment. And false imprisonment, folks, is a felony in all 50 states. And what is false imprisonment? You're stopping somebody without probable cause. Again, if you have probable cause and if you see a crime, not a city ordinance, but a crime take place, like for an example, a robbery, someone just used force to steal an old lady's purse, and you follow that person and you detain that individual until police come. Well, that's what it's designed to do. Now for our state, the state of Georgia that we're currently in, if you do that, if you make the decision to put your neck on a guillotine, in so many words, you better make sure you're right. Because one, you're going to have to go to once the police arrive, you're going to have to go to the magistrate. In other words, before a judge, the police officer will indeed, he's not making an arrest, he's just transporting on your behalf. That police officer will indeed transport that individual. You're going to have to follow the police officer. Then you will have to explain to the judge why you conducted a citizen arrest. And if you have enough probable cause, at that point in time, the judge will give a warrant for that person who had just robbed this old lady. And then the police officer can transport him over to the jail. That's how it is in the state of Georgia. Other states may be different. All right. But if you don't have probable cause and that officer looks at it and they say, hey, buddy, that doesn't seem right. For an example, you could be charged for false imprisonment. Again, that is a felony. Because why? There's not a crime. What if a person was just walking, you're a so-called resident of an apartment complex, and you see someone that you know that doesn't live out in your apartment complex, and you see them cutting across the property because he's trying to go to the store. All right. You stop him and you tell the guy, hey, buddy, you're trespassing. You're trespassing on this property. You do not live out here. And the young man or young woman probably would say, yeah, I don't live out here, but I'm cutting across. All right. And this individual puts handcuffs on this guy and say, you're going to jail for your trespassing. You're not supposed to be on his property. Police arrives, and immediately that any officer with more than 30 days outside of the academy would know that trespassing is not a crime. Trespassing is not a crime if that man or woman have not been warned. Now, if they've been warned not to trespass on that property, it becomes a crime. So again, imagine some resident of an apartment complex or a condo association detaining someone and putting handcuffs, or not even handcuffs, just telling that man or woman, just stay here, you're under arrest. And that person duly feels that they're no longer free to go. Yes, they have a strong case to arrest that individual who detained that person without probable cause. Remember, that's a felony. All right. So understand, if you're going to make a citizen's arrest, you better make sure you know the law, and you better make sure that a crime has occurred in your presence. That goes for any security officers who are not sworn law enforcement officers. That goes for you too. Make sure that you know the law and you know what a crime is. A crime is going to be a misdemeanor or a felony, period. Not an ordinance violation. Okay. Now, some of us do carry weapons. Now, if in the commission of a crime that you witness, if you are a security officer, if you are an employee of a business and you operate and to protect your store for theft, for an example, if someone walks away with a small item like this, okay, with a small item like this, if someone walks away and this item is less than $500, there's no need to even risk the possibility of false imprisonment by using force upon this person. If they run, let them run. Okay, it's not even worth you actually risking your freedom or possibly getting sued for something that's a pack of a $2 pack of something. All right. So think of the consequences if you're wrong. Think of the consequences if you stop somebody and this person has a gun, if this person has a knife, if this person has this person knows karate or just flat out knows how to fight. If you stop someone and you tell them you're under citizen's arrest, probably the first thing they're going to say, you're not the police. That's one. All right. Two, that person's probably going to be upset and you're probably going to get into some type of a physical altercation. All right. All because something you have to determine, is it even worth me even stopping this person? Or should I be a good witness for the police? Most likely a reasonable person say, you know what? Yes, I can stop this person for stealing. But again, I will probably be a better witness. Now, if this person decides he doesn't want to stay and he wants to leave, I should not be one to use force for him to stop. Unless, hear me out, folks, unless you are a security officer in the state of Georgia, for an example, for our laws, that you're on duty and now you can use force to prevent that man or woman from leaving with the stores, goods, and things of that nature. All right. That's the only time our law here in the state of Georgia will allow someone to use force. If you're a security officer or if you are a business owner and a retail theft is occurring and a person wants to leave, yes, you can use minimum amount of force necessary to keep that person there because they are under your control. All right. So remember that. All right. Some other things we want to talk about is some of us that utilize weapons. For an example, handcuffs, for an example, if you're a security officer, handcuffs is considered a weapon. And if you are not certified, in other words, have a certification from an instructor like myself that has certified you in a class in how to properly operate these particular less than lethal weapons, handcuffs. If you don't know how to use it, you can actually cause great bodily harm to someone if you utilize handcuffs to detain someone. All right. Not saying you can't use it. But then again, if you work with a security agency or a company, follow their policies. If they don't allow handcuffs, you can't carry it. But if you're working for a security company, if they allow you to carry handcuffs, make sure that you're certified in it. Some people will actually have what we call pepper spray or OC spray. Make sure that you have certifications in that. Next, a lot of us will carry batons, whether it's in your car, whether it's on your person. Some of these are collapsible batons. Some of them known as ASP. Make sure you have certification in that if you're going to carry it. Because if you use it, someone get hurt by it, the first thing a deep pocket lawyer is going to do, he or she is going to sue you and ask for your certification of that less than lethal weapon that you're carrying. And if you don't have it, you are in some hot water there. Okay. Now, last but not least, a lot of us use tasers. Tasers is there for your defense. It's a less than lethal defense weapon. It wouldn't kill you, but it make you uncomfortable. The only time you want to use that in effect of a citizen's arrest, if someone's trying to fight you and you're trying to you're using the least amount of force necessary. We call that minimum. The minimum amount of force necessary to protect yourself. Okay. So those things are there for you, but you got to make sure that you do your diligence and your training, that you are certified to carry those weapons that we have talked about. Okay. Now, some of us actually carry weapons, firearms, folks. That is something that you've now got into a different arena. If you're carrying a firearm, you got to understand most of these southern states in the United States have a law called 1020 life. That means the 10 means if you commit any felony while in possession of a firearm, you are subject to do a minimum mandatory sentence of 10 years in prison. Now, what do you mean about that? And how does that affect someone with a firearm doing a so-called citizen's arrest? Well, this is what it means. If you were wrong and you stopped that individual for a crime, that individual who was stopped by you while you're armed articulated that he or she was no longer free to go. So basically, they're under an arrest, or you're detaining that person. Now, if that person didn't do a crime, you may have thought it was a crime, like for an example, trespassing without being warned, and you pulled a gun on this man. Well, guess what, folks? That person who pulled the gun is the one should and most likely will go to jail. Now, not only going to jail because of this law of 1020 life is this, that he's probably going to receive 10 years in prison because he committed a felony, which is called false imprisonment. That means you're stopping someone or you're stopping the freedom of movement of an individual, all right, without probable cause. In other words, a reasonable suspicion. And that will lead that person to go into, should be going to jail or prison at a later time. So understand these laws. When you introduce a firearm involved with this thing, you just really made it even, you've aggravated the situation if you were wrong. Okay. Now, you got to know the difference between a misdemeanor and felony. Quite frankly, if you're not a security officer on duty, if you observed a felony take place, I would say a forcible felony, something that you can't live with if you let this go. For an example, someone trying to kidnap a child or hurt a child, someone attempting to hurt or kidnap an elderly person, or someone that can't defend themselves. Now, if you wanted to, you can conduct a citizen's arrest, but you better make sure this isn't some type of domestic dispute. And I would advise you as a former law enforcement officer, don't ever get involved with domestic disputes. Don't detain that man because he's arguing with his wife. Don't you get involved with it, as a matter of fact, because generally, from experience, the other person would probably turn on you, and now you have both of them arguing and probably fighting you. And again, that's the rule of thumb. Stay out of domestic violence, domestic things, notify the police, walk away. Don't get involved with that. We're talking about forcible felonies, somebody that is, make sure it's not a domestic situation going on. If a individual was, you see a child, 12-year-old child or a 10-year-old child, and someone's trying to drag them in a van, and you know this person is yelling for help. Can you live with yourself? And if you know that you could help this individual, some of us not, some of us can, and some of us just be a good witness. But me personally, I just don't like seeing anyone harming children. If I see someone trying to harm children or trying to kidnap a child, most likely I'm going to use the minimum amount of force to keep that guy there. All right. I'm going to take in account that what if this guy is armed? Well, I'm armed always. So then we were talking about something else. And then again, what if I'm wrong? Well, if I'm observing a forcible felony, kidnapping, well, so far I know the law. I know I'm in the right as a forcible felony. And if I elected to detain this individual, notify 911, I think I'll be in the right on a jury. All right. So I'm taking a whole lot of possibilities and on my shoulders, and hopefully I will be in the right. So that is how we need to think as armed citizens or unarmed citizens. If you ever decide to conduct a citizen's arrest, make sure it's worth it. Okay. All right. So now remember, you got to use a minimum amount of force. If I had handcuffs in my car, if I put them on him, he's going to stay there until law enforcement get there. All right. Because I just witnessed a forcible felony. I'm prepared what's going to happen afterwards. I'm going to make a great statement to the police department. I'm going to make a great witness to the prosecutor. But that doesn't stop me from being sued. Let's say, for example, the gentleman is down, he's down on the floor. I have handcuffs on him, and he stated that, his hands are now feeling a little numb because the handcuffs are too tight. It's a possibility I could get sued for that. So you got to be prepared for what's coming after the citizen's arrest. Please understand that. Be prepared for that. Now, remember, we're getting down to the end of this. If a person feels that they are no longer free to go, folks, and you're in a position of authority and you tell them to sit down, and there's 3 of you people that works for this company or works for this or in that apartment complex, and they feel that person feels that they're no longer free to go, you're detaining that person. You better make sure that you have probable cause to detain that man or woman. Okay? All right. My best advice to you, well, before I get to that, let me talk about one other crime. Again, that's trespassing after warning. That's the only time that trespassing in most states become illegal or criminal. All right. That man or woman has to be warned that they are no longer allowed to be on that property. So unless if that person hasn't been warned and you want to stop this guy, jump on top of him until the police get there, you most likely going to be charged with battery and false imprisonment. So just don't do it. So my best advice to consider, for all of you to consider, is the possibility that you may be a suspect of a crime instead of a victim of a crime. So in most cases, you should observe and report to law enforcement before you think about doing a citizen's arrest. It is a lot of liability, and in most cases, it's not even worth it. Okay. All right. I hope that will help out some of you. And this is a quick 18-minute tutorial. And hopefully that will help some of my security students and some of the people that I train for firearms training. So this is very important in regarding to citizens arrest. Know the laws of your state, folks. Don't be a victim. Don't fall for the okie-doke and stopping somebody and detaining someone without probable cause. You'll be in prison for 5 years. All right. Have a great day.